Bleach Soul Resonance is coming up on its first major event, and I think if you're into getting into games, you know, logging those celebration rerolls, having that honeymoon phase, Bleach Soul Resonance is an incredible game. And I would say that among the gacha I've played, Epic 7, Dokkan, Legends, etc., you know, a bunch of others, Bleach Soul Resonance is up there in terms of visual fidelity. If you're a fan of Bleach, maybe you were a fan when you were younger, maybe you're a fan now with the TYBW stuff coming up, I would say that it is definitely worth getting into. An incredibly free-to-play game, and I say that again as the sort of free-to-play guru in Bleach Soul Resonance, and a lot of gacha that I do cover. So even in Dokkan, I'm essentially speaking mostly for free-to-plays, right? So what are some things you need to know if you want to get into Bleach Soul Resonance? Well, one thing in particular is that Bleach is an action game. If you don't just think that these animations, these models are pretty for no reason, I'd say that of the games that use this style, Bleach Soul Resonance has been my favorite visually. I think you could argue that, you know, maybe you like the modeling of the Hoyoverse, Zenless Zone Zero, you know, Honkai and Genshin and the like, but for my money personally, I think that the difference in model quality, the difference in shapes, and I mean, we've all been that Genshin player who wanted to pull for Ito, wanted to pull for that big ogre, and then just to come out and find out that instead of being a big ogre, Ito is 5'4", right? We've all been that person. In Bleach Soul Resonance, you get models that are as big as they are in the series, actual high level visual fidelity, and guess what? Their attacks are fucking gorgeous. So if you are a fan of Bleach in any regard, you like animation canceling, you like really fast, fluid combat instead of having to worry about, you know, clunky switches, guess what? Bleach Soul Resonance is not here to make you wait around for button presses. The one thing I would say is that if you have an emulator, I would recommend getting onto it instead of using strictly your phone, just because I could imagine some of this stuff being very difficult if you are just using your phone. But on a controller, on a, you know, maybe even on just mouse and keyboard, this feels buttery smooth, and you get to really enjoy all of that animation canceling, all that super fast anime, you know, action without any problem. Bleach Soul Resonance is the action game on the market right now for my money, and I've played them all. Next up, I want to talk about the gacha system, which is super forgiving, and we have literally not gotten a major celebration outside of, I guess, launch technically, where you could obviously reroll for Bankai Ichigo, who is rerunning soon. But this is going to be our first major celebration. It looks like we're getting somewhere in the ballpark of 140 pulls or something, which Bleach Soul Resonance, as a game that looks this good, as a game that is this cheap to get into, by the way. Again, I'm free to play. I'm free to play, and I've never dropped below, you know, 10,000 Jade going into a banner. Every time I go into a banner in Bleach Soul Resonance, I've had 15,000 Jade, 20,000 Jade, and that's more than enough to pity both the character and the weapon stamp, right? So imagine going into your favorite, you know, gacha, Genshin, you know, Zenless, whatever, and you almost are guaranteed to get every single character and every single weapon every single time, so long as you're playing. Like, you'd think I was lying to you. You'd think I was making it up. You'd think I was trying to scam you if I told you, hey buddy, click here, you always get the character and the stamp. But it's true. We are going into a big celebration, and we have literally not had one before. So if I, as a completely free-to-play player, I have not spent a dime on this game, check every video I have. If I, as a completely free-to-play player, have never needed to skip, then, I mean, come on. Like, this is a very free-to-play friendly game. If you have any interest at all in these characters, in this world, it is very easy to get on, do your dailies, get off super fast dailies, super just, like, autoable and skippable dailies, like, and all of that getting you the rewards, getting you everything. So that's another big reason I think that Bleach Soul Resonance is easy to fit into your schedule. So you might be thinking, what is the catch then? We get every weapon and every character for essentially free so long as we're playing the game. What is the catch? Well, the resource that is going to, you know, limit you, quote unquote, is going to be gear, obviously. Gear farm is a thing in this game. However, I would actually say that as someone who has played a lot of Gear Gacha, I've played Honkai, I've played Epic 7, I played Epic 7 for years, and then I played a bunch of non-Gear Gacha, of course, but I'm playing Chaos Zero Nightmare right now, which is a Gear Gacha, very new and very fun. Bleach Soul Resonance is one of the most lax gear grinds I've ever done. I've seen people who have never played Gear Gacha or just Gacha in general complain about this Gear Gacha, but I promise you, if you try Bleach Soul Resonance as someone coming from any of these other games, any of the Hoyoverse games, the Zenless games, etc., there's almost not an easier gear grind, I think. Completely free to play, and by the way, we used to have a bit of a, you know, quote-unquote stamina problem, and I would say they've completely remedied this by just now, like, as within this week, introducing a new tower system that is pretty easy to clear, I'm not gonna lie. And you get 300 of the crafting shards, as well as 1.5 million gold for completing both towers, and this repeats every few weeks. So every time a character comes out, this repeats, this refreshes. You get another boost of con, which is gold, and the gear shards, meaning the moment a character comes out, which is probably one of the more stressful, you know, you're getting your character, oh, I want to play with them so bad. Guess what? They introduced a tower that you just clear that once the character comes out, and you just gear them with the crafts. Like, it is such a fast and smooth grind. I thought it was pretty chill before they introduced that, and I think it's even crazier now, because now instead of spending a bunch of stamina, you know, oh, you got to go on stamina, you got to do the Realm of Mutation to get gear, oh, you got to also get the experience mats, and you got to get the skill mats and things like that. They've simplified the system so much. Experience comes from that tower, gear comes from that tower. We've got, you know, no speed stats or anything crazy. Primarily, you're just going to be looking at attack stats, crit stats, damage stats, ult charge. You see all these words here. All these, don't worry about all these words, really. Ult charge, crit damage, crit rate, attack, and for certain characters, ailment. And that's about all you really need to know getting into the game. You don't really need to worry. If you get health stat, chuck it. If you get defense stat, chuck it. You know, it's fine. It's an easy gear system to wrap your head around if you played any before. And if you haven't, there's a brief overview. And if someone's like, well, you can't just do that, there's nuance, you can't just do that. Hey, buddy, I've been following essentially that rubric, and as a completely free to play player, I rank in the top 6% of the actual, like, you know, quote-unquote PvP leaderboard statistics. 89,000 for this week. 91,000 would get me into the top 100. Let me tell you something. And you do not need a score like this to have fun in the game, right? These are completely attainable, like, feats as a free-to-play player. A free-to-play game that's anime IP, that gives you the characters, that has the gear, that lets you actually, you know, quote-unquote compete. And it's just so simple. It's really simple, man. It's simple while having complex and interesting characters. I think that's the mark of a really good game. Now, I do want to talk about one thing, because it's not all sunshine and roses. I do not blame the devs for this, and no one really can, because this is Shueisha's fault. The Bleach Soul Resonance team has reanimated, reintroduced a bunch of cutscenes from the anime that is done in the style of Bleach Soul Resonance. Some of the best looking versions of the early Bleach product are in this game, and we can't see them. You know what I mean? We can't see them because Shueisha will not allow it. But I mean, you can just take a look at a lot of the character, you know, the character assets, the visuals here. Like, there is so much in this game that looks so good, and one of the things we're missing are the cutscenes for these moments, because Shueisha does not want us to have any fun. But I mean, it is, I don't know. I can't even, I don't even know what to say other than Shueisha are some hoes. Like, Shueisha, we're in a pretty early portion of the actual story. We're about to go into Huacamundo. We just got Kenpachi. We're going into a Nelel celebration. After that, we're probably getting Grimjaw. we've gotten Aizen and Gin, who you're going to be able to re-roll for this week. And as I think this game continues to make money and prove that it's like valuable to Shueisha, I think we're going to start getting actual cutscenes reintroduced, because they've made the cutscenes, they've put them in top notch. I think it's a top notch Bleach game and just anime IP in general. If you are a fan of Bleach, it is definitely worth getting into the game and just taking it easy. Like I said, it's a PvE game. It's not, demanding at all. You could do most of your dailies in, I want to say, like 10 minutes. Like my sort of flow is I get on, I click on this button right here, I go down the list of things it wants me to do. This usually, by the time I'm done getting to the end of this, it's taken about, 8-10 minutes, and I close the app. You could go lazier. You could open the game, press supplies, press trials, go into Rumble Mutation, spend your stamina, and get out of there. It really is that simple. I think that this has been the game that's probably impressed me the most this year. Or I guess late last year. Secondarily, I would say that Chaos Zero Nightmare is the second most impressive game I've played. But yeah, as a longtime Bleach fan, I feel like we've all been waiting for Bleach Soul Resonance, a game like Bleach Soul Resonance, a game in the world of Bleach Soul Resonance to release, a game that accurately sort of mimics the feel of playing a lot of these characters, a game that accurately mimics the feel of playing. I mean, I don't want to do comparing, but I've uploaded like 300 Dokkan battle videos, and not to be like an asshole, but I always say I think Dokkan could be more. I think Dokkan could do more. I think Dokkan could, aspire to be a little more. But as you look at this, do you not sort of like get a little jealous that like Bleach gets a game of this visual and mechanic quality, and we're over there still bubble popping? Like, come on, dog. Like, and I say this as someone, I'm literally still playing Dokkan every day. I've been playing Dokkan every day for over 1,000 days, right? It's just very funny that the game, it seems like the game that has had the most hurdles in Bleach Soul Resonance, because Shueisha are some hoes, is like the game that is the quietest. It's just quietly been the best anime gacha that I think I've played thus far. Like, I don't know. It's very impressive. So yeah, that's Bleach Soul Resonance. That's a quick rundown of some core factors if you want to get into the game. Rerolls are essentially starting soon when the reruns come out. I would actually say that it could be worth maybe trying to pick up Kenpachi if you're a fan of Kenpachi, because Kenpachi is running now, but he will not be running the entire time the reruns are happening. So if you're a fan of Kenpachi, maybe more than Gin, I would pick up Kenpachi. If you're a bigger fan of Gin, I would pick up Gin, because the new Nell is going to support either of them. She's going to be an ailment support, and they are both ailment characters. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for now. I think that's all the yapping I can get done. I've been Lone. Like, if you like the video, subscribe, join the club. We all go make it, and peace.